We will begin at 6 p.m.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the 2015 Mayoral Elect Forum, being sponsored this evening by the Utica Business Association, of which I am currently president of, which is the reason why I'm saying hello and good evening to you tonight. I'd like to thank three people: Jennifer Stone King, Rena Pappas, and Sandy Gruber. I know she's around here somewhere. The committee that did put all this together, as well as Connie for her help with the community hall. Without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce you guys to our candidates this evening alphabetically, starting to your left. We have Mike Brown. Next to him, we've got secondly, we've got William, or Bill, Ciccone. Mr. Matthew Jareb. Richard Maltus. James Jim Schrader. And Kevin Chops Stewart. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started this evening. Thank you again all for coming. I hope you learn a little bit about your candidates, and it helps make the choice for our new mayor and makes it an easy one. So I'll hand it over to Julia Messina. She is a past Utica business owner, so very familiar with our area, and she'll get this party started. Okay.
Thank you. Well, welcome. Welcome to the 2015 North Utica Mayoral Candidate Forum. I'm Julia Messina, this evening's moderator for the forum, which is sponsored by the Utica Business Association. The timekeeper this evening is Rena Pappas. And tonight we have the 6 candidates who will be answering questions that have been submitted by members of the community. We collected the questions throughout the community, and the questions have been culled down to the 6 that you will be hearing tonight. The questions have been provided to the candidates prior to this event, and this evening we will hear their responses to them. Tonight's format is very simple. Each candidate will be called on in alphabetical order to answer the questions that they were provided, and then they will have 90 seconds to respond to each question. At the end, at the 6th question, the candidates will have 2 minutes for closing remarks. There are light refreshments over on the side. If you haven't had some yet, you're welcome to partake after the event concludes. And we ask that people turn off their cell phones or turn them down or silence them during the forum. And we hope that everyone will be full of goodwill, open minds, and respectful behavior this evening. So I would like to start off by asking our first mayoral candidate, which is Mike Brown. We're doing this in alphabetical order, to state his name and tell us something about yourself. You have 90 seconds.
Thank you very much. My name is Mike Brown, and I'm a Utica native. I'm born and raised in Utica, lived on the same south side of the tracks for all of my life. And I'm not only in the Utica native, but I feel I am the one that has the most experience, including 16 years, 4 terms on the town board. I've also had 1 full term on the Utica School Board, and also have filled an unexpired 2 terms on the Utica School Board. Actively involved in the community in the Knights of Columbus, the only 3-time Grand Knight of the Father Marquette Council Knights of Columbus that just celebrated our 100-year anniversary. I've also been a member of the St. Mary's Parish Council. I have extensive experience in working with governmental agencies, having worked with the North Central Council of Illinois Governments, have worked with past legislatures, and in my previous term on the village board, we were able to obtain grants for a new water tower, for a new sewerage system, also for water mains. And we've also had establishment a lot of working relationships with legislatures and helping us obtain grants for various infrastructure and major projects. I am an Eagle Scout, been involved with the Boy Scouts for over 50 years and have umpired Little League for 25 years.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Now we'll hear from Bill Ciccone.
Hi.
The same
Same
question, basically. State your name and tell us something about yourself.
Hi, my name is Bill Ciccone, and first of all, I'd like to thank the Utica Business Association for having the forum and welcome everybody. It's nice to see a nice crowd here for being interested in the village elections. It's very good. As far as my experience and so forth, I've been involved in village, township, and business operations since 1963. I have the experience in financing, planning, and operating a business as well as village. I have led companies with upwards of 100 employees to be very successful. Also, I've worked and negotiated with major corporations throughout the United States. Some of those included oil companies, utility companies, developers, builders, as well as government agencies. And attorneys, too, I should add, plus many others. With my background and knowledge, I feel I can lead the village in the right direction for the residents and the businesses of Utica. I have what I feel is needed to lead the village in the right direction for the future growth of the village. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccone. The next candidate is Matt Jarab. Matt, please state your name and tell us something about yourself.
Okay, thank you, Julia. My name is Matt Jarab. My wife and I are lifelong residents of the Utica area. The only time that we were outside this area is when we went away to college. After starting both of our careers, we knew we wanted to come back to Utica and build a house and start a family. And we did that. And why we did that was because we liked the small town charm, we liked the friendliness of the neighborhoods, and the good schools that we have here for our kids. We're very active in our day-to-day activities of our kids, helping with baseball and softball, being part of the Utica Little League board, as well as with doing different activities at the school. I have a bachelor's degree from the University of Illinois in civil engineering, and I currently work as a civil engineer for a private engineering firm. I oversee 15 to 25 professionals every day that oversee construction projects that range from small ones of $10,000 to over $50 million. I also manage budgets for our employees that range anywhere between $6 and $8 million annually. And I truly believe that these career responsibilities relate directly to the office of mayor. I was elected in 2007 and have served the last 8 years as a village trustee where I was finance liaison. And I took my votes on the board very seriously, and I will take everything that comes our way as far as mayor with that same seriousness. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. The next candidate is Rick Maltus. Rick, would you please tell us something about yourself?
My name's Rick Maltus. I moved into town in 1973. I actually lived out in Waltham when I was a kid and come to town when we used to have a laundromat in town, so it was a long time ago. I run the Shell station at Rick's Towing at the south end of town. Shift supervisor at the LaSalle Nuclear Power Plant, 145 employees under me for over 15 years. Been a firefighter EMT for over 36 years in this community, police officer for over 29 years, and the superintendent of public works for over 13 years. And I feel with my experience in this community, I've probably knocked on or been around every house and in and out of the ditches of this community and know where about everything is located and understand the workings of the community and able to work with the engineers on the projects that's been here. And I'm looking to try to help people. I've had people call me and ask me to run for mayor because they weren't getting the responses they thought they were needed from our village, and they asked if I would run. So I put my name in on the run on the ballot, and I think I can bring in some good information. And I've also started the Country Edge building at the south end of town and brought in tourism for that, and spent a lot of time helping trying to develop our tourism. So I think I can do that for everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. The next candidate is Jim Schrader.
Hello, my name's Jim Schrader. I'm a 20-plus year resident of the Village of North Utica. I was elected in 2011 to the Village Board of Trustees. Currently, I sit as Board Liaison for Police and Public Health and Safety. I've owned and operated Jim's Repair for the last 3 years, but I've been involved in it for the last 25. It's our 25th year in business. We moved back into town in 2002 after a couple years in Peru. My wife and I decided to move back here because we really believed that it takes a village to raise a child. So when we decided to have children, we moved back here. I think that my experience around town and on the board and in business will do nothing but help lead the community, and I'd like to be your next mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. The next candidate up is Kevin Choppy Stewart.
Hello, gang. My name is Kevin Stewart. I am 42 years old. I have lived in the village of Utica all my life. My mother was Rita Stewart. She was a secretary at the Low Brickyard, where she worked for many years. She was also village clerk of Utica for many years, 20 plus. My father was George Stewart. He was a very hardworking person at Philadelphia Courts here in Utica. He was also fire chief of Utica for many years, and before him, his father, Alex Stewart, was also chief. I would truly love your support and vote for Mayor of Utica. I work at Skoog's Pub. I've been here for 15 plus years. I'm here in town. I'm very easy to find. I'm working here for the people. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Again, starting with Mike Brown for question 2. The question is the following. The following question regarding the North Waltham School expansion will appear on the April 6th ballot. Shall the Board of Education of Waltham Community Consolidated School District number 185, LaSalle County, Illinois, improve the site of, build and equip an addition to, and alter, repair, and equip the Waltham North Elementary School building and issue bonds of said school district in the amount of $6,900,000 for the purpose of paying the costs thereof. The question is, are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham School expansion, and why? You have 90 seconds.
Well, thank you very much. Technically, I honestly don't feel that this question should be put to anybody on this panel, because you're asking us to comment about the actions and proposed actions of another governmental body. And I'm sure that that governmental body has studied the pros and the cons and have done their due diligence to come up with the best answer that they see fit to solve the problem as is presented to them. And I'm sure everybody is for a good educational system and good facilities for our kids, but I just don't think it is very proper for a candidate for one governmental body to comment and to pass judgment on the proposed actions of another governmental body. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Again, this will be for Bill Ciccone, candidate Ciccone. With regard to the... I don't have to repeat it. Okay, thank you. Are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham School expansion, and why? 90 seconds for your response, please.
First of all, I don't believe it is my position as a candidate for a village election to comment on how I intend to vote for a school district referendum. This is still the USA, and my vote is my business. I don't mean to put that so bluntly, but this is really the case. Plus, I don't want how I'm going to vote to influence anyone else on how to vote for a school issue. This is their business, and I strongly ask and recommend to all the residents that they attend an information meeting that the district is having, and I believe it's tomorrow night up at the North Building. And that way they can listen to their presentation, and they'll be able to ask questions regarding any concerns and issues that they have, and that way you can make up your own mind. So that's my position on that right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccone. Next candidate is Matt Jarub, and we're asking the same thing. Are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham school expansion, and why?
Okay. Thank you, Julia. I tend to agree with both Bill and Mike. I think this is a discussion for after April 7th. Let the voters decide. Let the process go through. I know it is a very emotional and personal issue for a lot of individuals that either went to school here or have kids that go to the downtown building. I have 4 kids in the district. It means a lot to me as well. I think we should need to concentrate on a couple of things, though. One, what's in the best interest of our kids for their educational purposes? And then I think as a mayor, we need to start thinking already on what happens after the vote comes to fruition, whether it's voted down or it's approved. We're going to have some issues that we're going to have to deal with. If it's voted down, maybe we need to do a better job as a village helping the local school district find ways to expand in the downtown district. It's going to be difficult with the floodplain in the area, but maybe we can do something else to help them, give them other options. Second, what if it's voted for? What are we going to do to help the district sell or lease the building so that it doesn't become vacant and sit there? It's on a main thoroughfare. We need to do whatever we can to help them sell or lease the business so that it maintains active. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jarub. Now for Mr. Maltus, if you'd please answer the question. Are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham school expansion, and why?
Okay, I agree with the other candidates here. It isn't our position to be making recommendations how the school board came to put this referendum on there. They've had a lot of informational meetings out there, and I think as the mayor, if you get elected as mayor, you need to spend your time and concentrate on working with the school board to make our community better. Because with our new governor that just came in, they're looking at cutting costs, and I think the cost cutting could come in a big hurry around here because they'd say Dimick School is new to the west, Wallace is new to the east, so let's eliminate Waltham, and the controversy over our kids driving 6 miles to the Waltham school may become they're going another 5 miles either direction and get split up and go all over the country. So I think the school board needs to look at that controversy and work on it, and the public needs to attend these open forums that they're having for the thing and put some input in there. I stood at the school and for open houses and no one shows up. And it's kind of disappointing that our community is looking for us as mayors to come up with an answer for them. But I think one of the things that could happen was we could have a preschool down here. We ship kids all over the country to go to preschool, Wallace, Dimick, and over to Oglesby. Maybe it's the time that we have our own preschool in our own community. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. I appreciate that. And now, Mr. Schrader, please. We're going to give Rena just a second to get that.
That's fine. Mine won't take that long.
I'll start calling you.
Are we ready to go? Okay. All right. Mr. Schrader, are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham school expansion, and why?
Right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm against it. I don't like the idea of our kids getting shipped 6-7 miles out in the middle of the country when the vast majority of them are down here in town. I don't know how many of you have wandered through Marseilles anytime recently or within the last 20 years, but they've got big dead school buildings right there on their main roads. School buildings don't sell. They just don't. They sit, they become dilapidated, they get ignored. They're community killers. I attended the last one of these public informational meetings, or at least that's what it was supposed to be. When I showed up, all it was a propaganda meeting about how they're going to do door-to-door canvassing and flyers. And I showed up with ideas. I presented them. I was told, well, the decision was made 2 days ago. I said, that's not what the email said. They said, well, the decision's been made. We have to move on. We have a busy agenda. My opinion is it needs to get voted down. It needs to go back to the drawing board. We need a school downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. And now for Kevin Stewart, would you please answer the same question? Are you for or against the proposed ballot measure regarding the North Waltham School expansion, and why?
Tricky question. Renovation? Sure, I'm all for renovation of the schools, but vacate? No. Downtown school here, I'm old school. Grew up downtown all my life. Went to the school, graduated school, so do many others. Who wants to pay higher taxes? I don't think anybody is for it. It's up to the voters to decide this on the April 7th referendum. They are the ones who speak, but they have to remember, if it is for, what are the water sewer issues out at the north building? Is the well okay? What are they going to do? Down here, we do have water sewer. We got the property. Let's talk it over. Let's get things done. Let's bring it down here. Most of the people attending Waltham School are from the village of Utica itself. Let's keep it downtown. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. We're going to move on to the third question. By the way, all of these questions were submitted by members of the community, the committee, from the Utica Business Association, selected from the questions that were submitted, and that's how these questions came to be. So, Utica residents have submitted a number of questions regarding topics ranging from water and sewer issues to roads and bridge infrastructure issues. What are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them, Mr. Brown?
Thank you. I think when you take a look at the infrastructure issues in Utica, we've got to take care of what we have first before we think about a big expansion. Realistically, probably the major ones are probably going to be more than a 2-year project, and it's just not going to be a village problem to take issue with. It's going to have to be working in together in cooperation with the state legislatures, Corps of Engineers, along with the Illinois Department of Natural Resources, along with the county. I think you're taking a look at the construction of the New River Bridge, looking at the raising of the D. Bennett Road to help with flood control, and also some issues too with the flood water control and water coming down from areas to our north and flooding. And again, these are issues that you just cannot do by yourself as a visiting. You got to have to sit down and work in cooperation with a lot of other entities and be able to give and take a lot of advice and also work to plan for the long-term future.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ciccone, what are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them?
Okay, number 1, not necessarily in this order, by the way, but number 1 is to improve and expand our sewer plant, and also to extend the sewer line to reach the homes that are on septic systems. We'll eventually need to get the people off of septic tanks. The expansion of our sewer plant, I think, is very important. We can't do any growing without making sure that we have the facilities to handle any future growth. So we're going to have to look at that very closely. Number 2 is the flooding of Clark Run Creek. I feel that we need to seriously look at retention and detention ponds upstream, and to divert water to the I&M Canal, or maybe even put the creek underground through the downtown area. That would probably be the most costly, but it's something that we can look at. The Illinois River flooding, we need to work together with all the government agencies and other towns that are in our area. We need to convince the local, regional, state, federal government to make sure that all the towns upstream have a water management plan.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccone. The question now goes to Mr. Jareb. What are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them?
Okay. Well, when I was thinking about this question, I kind of jotted down 5, actually, that I'd like to see done, some short-term, some long-term. I agree with Bill that the sewer treatment plant has to be upgraded. If we want future expansion, we have to be able to provide facilities for industry that want to come to their town. I believe our drinking water is a critical issue that we need to maintain. About 6-7 years ago, the Illinois EPA reduced their radium levels that are allowable in drinking water. And as such, the village had to respond. We looked at many different options, from drilling a new well, to putting a plug, to isolate the radium area, as well as doing a new water treatment plant. I was completely for the water treatment plant because it provided us long-term stability, and it answered, or it solved the problem 100%. I was in the minority at that time. We did the plug. We did get our radium levels lower than what they are, below the required, but at the same time, this is a temporary fix. We need to look long-term. I also believe we need to do sewer and sidewalk upgrades between Johnson Street and the Illinois River. When IDOT comes through, it'll be the only section left unimproved. I think we need to do the bypass of the Clark Run Creek to prevent any flooding that we possibly can in the downtown area. And then I think the area right outside here needs to be redeveloped to pre-tornado conditions to have businesses and or residents in that area instead of having to be vacant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jareb. Mr. Maltus, what are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them?
Well, the sewer plant is the big one. We need to get that done so we can bring in extra industry. But also you need to look at our water main going to the south. It goes under the Illinois-Michigan Canal. It's been in there since 1905. If we don't get another bypass in there, if that ever breaks in the middle of the night, the people at the south end of our community is not going to have water. And it's going to take a while. I mean, there's been talk of stretching fire hoses over the footbridge to supply water to the south end of town. That's not the answer. We're above and beyond that as a community. We need to put a line in. I tried to get a line put in when I was working as superintendent when they put the sewer through the canal. And I was told we didn't have the money. It would have cost us $300 to do it additionally. It could have been 10 foot away from our sewer pipe that went through the canal. We could have laid it in there, and when they did the Church Street, or the Canal Street project, it could have been tied in and tied into the south end of town. That would have eliminated the possibility of not having water at the south end of our community. Also, letters are going out to the 18 homes at the south end of town about their raise their house out of the floodplain because of the flooding. Well, if you stop and think that we also have businesses at the south end of our community, and if you look at Mr. Schrader's home and picture the ice cream stand with that kind of foundation underneath of it, we're going to need elevators for the people to get into our businesses and stuff at the south end of town. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. And now to Mr. Schrader, the same question. What are your... That's right.
I think she's timing it like that.
Don't give me enough time to reset in between candidates.
I'm having a hard time keeping a straight face here, Rena.
Ready, Rena?
Three infrastructure updates.
What are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them, Mr. Schrader?
I don't want to sound repetitive, but the sewer plant is definitely A1 on the list for expansion. It just needs to be done. Currently, when they put the new bridge in, there's going to be a new discharge pipe put in. Ideally, to be shortly after that we start putting together a real plan to replace or expand parts of the sewer plant. The second part, I'd like to get the water main on Church Street done. It's a big project. It's been around forever. It needs to be done. It's an expensive one, so that's a couple years off. And thirdly, I was thinking we need to extend the sidewalks from Johnson Street on the south side or on the west side of Route 178 all the way to the mini mall. If you start looking around town at the foot traffic since 178 was realigned, there's a significant amount of people walking down there nowadays that really weren't walking it before. And to help out the businesses on that side of the road, on that part of town, that sidewalk's necessary. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Now, Mr. Stewart, what are your top 3 infrastructure priorities, and how do you plan to address them?
Okay, not in this order. First of all, I'd like to say, of course, the sewer plant expansion, weigh our options, look for either expanding it, find a new location. That is priority. Second of all, I know that we just have completed and put out to bid and finalized it. Johnson Street water line, thank you very much. Well needed. Church Street is next. Third of all, I have talked to some DNR officials. I want the I&M Canal not to be a mess. I want a fresh waterway. LaSalle has one. Why can't we? Let's work with DNR. Let's get tourism into this town. Come over, look under the bridge, and say it's a fresh waterway, or what is it, is what they're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. The next question number 4, will be for Mr. Brown, Mike Brown. Not only is North Utica ideally located near 2 major U.S. interstates, I-80 and I-39, it is the gateway to Starved Rock State Park, which has over 2 million visitors per year. As mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica? You have 90 seconds to respond.
First of all, I think the first thing we have to do is market ourselves, not just to the Chicago area, but take advantage of our location by the 2 major interstates. Take a look. We're about equidistance between the Quad Cities, Rockford, Bloomington Normal, and Peoria. And there's our great areas in there. We need to market some other areas and bring some historical facts in. How many people know that the oldest Catholic parish in the state of Illinois is right here in Utica, founded in 1675, in conjunction with the Historical Society? That can be put together along with tours. We need to have more signs, and I think it's looking at areas to develop parking to entice people to come in, park, and walk the downtown area, which means improving your sidewalk infrastructure, improving parking, and be willing to look at thinking outside the box and different things in different ways to market. Shuttle service from the state parks and incorporate all of the state parks, not just Starved Rock, but take into effect the Lock and Dam with the Eagles and the other state parks in Matheson and Buffalo Rock.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ciccone, the same question. As mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica?
Well, first of all, I intend to meet with the current businesses in Utica, including the association here, for their input. I think the more ideas we have, the better off we're going to be. I think we need to expand our advertising to reach outside of the Illinois Valley area, the burbs, Chicago, St. Louis, downstate, Quad Cities. The second thing is that I'd like to contact businesses that would help tourism here in Utica and entice them to move here. We need more variety to keep people coming back and staying longer to see more things. I'd like to also pursue the possibility of attracting a hotel and a family-style restaurant, plus maybe some businesses such as attorneys, accountants, doctors to locate up at the four corners. And the other thing is to attempt to convince IDOT that we need signage on Route 30, on I-39, especially at the US 6 intersection. We have no signage there saying this way to Utica, and I think we need that. We need to convince IDOT to do that, and I think I can have the ability to do that.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccone. Mr. Jareb, as mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica?
Okay. You know, we have 2 million visitors a year, which is quite remarkable in a town of our size that many people come through here. I think it's one of our biggest economic generators, and we need to work collaboratively between the business association and the village to market our businesses in the best way that we both feel is the best way to do it. I think we need to keep Utica's small town charm and characteristics. We're currently working on a project to redo the Mill Street area, which I think is going to be a huge improvement that's going to draw a lot of people to the downtown. We're going to have a new multi-use path going across the Illinois River that's going to tie into the entrance to Starved Rock State Park and link the Grand Bear and Starved Rock tourists to the downtown. We need to make sure that our sidewalks from that multi-use path all the way downtown is accessible to everyone. And then my biggest one is I think we underutilize our technology. Everyone probably in this room has a cell phone sitting on them right now with the accessibility to the internet. We're going through right now redeveloping our webpage, and I think we need to utilize that to have some type of email alerts or advertising that everyone can get once they get closer to town or they visit here before, where they can sign up to know what kind of activities we have going on. And lastly, I think we need to improve our image of the Utica. We've had a lot of controversial issues over the last probably 4 or 5 years that may be undeserving. We've gotten bad rap. And I think we need to work to basically get our image back out there in front of everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jareb. Mr. Maltus, as mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica?
Okay, when I started the Country's Edge little mini mall at the south end of town, I was working with tour buses to bring in tourism. They would bring in 2 or 3 busloads of people a week and drop them off and let them shop in all of the shops from the south or the north and get them apartments to stay at or rooms at the lodge. And I couldn't get everybody to work together. I hope that if I become mayor that I could get the business people to work together so that they're open at the same time and maybe get these buses to come back in here and deliver us people to shop and use our shops. But also we got to look at this new bridge coming in. If the road stays at the elevation it is now, the road will be closed again when it floods. So we either got to put up some levees or something to keep it from flooding so the people can make it to the Starved Rock and come back over here. Otherwise, we could be 2 to 3 weeks without any tourism or anything at all. And that's one of the big things. And then I'd like to see the back alleys behind the restaurants and stuff cleaned up, better lighting so people can see to get in and out. And up here by the well house, I think it would be a nice gesture to have a band shelter where we could bring in people to have little entertainments on Saturdays and Sundays and let them bring in extra people to, see what's going on in our community and advertise more and get it out to the south, Bloomington and further out. And I think that would help tremendously.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. Mr. Schrader, as mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica?
You know, I sat and thought about that the other night, and you throw the number 2.6 million. That's how many people went through Starved Rock last year. It was a record. How do you do much better than that, honestly? The best things we can do is continue to promote Starved Rock Lodge, Grand Bear Lodge, our local eateries downtown. Maybe move in a couple more businesses into the mini mall at the other end of town. You start looking at the businesses that are successful down here. They don't just draw from the Chicago area. They draw year-round from local communities too, LaSalle, Peru. People come from miles and miles away to go to Two Girls and a Cupcake. Would I have thought that was possible? No, but they succeeded. They draw every day. We really need to look at bringing in more businesses that will be successful year-round instead of having one good season, one bad winter, and then they're gone. That would be my goal, move more businesses into town.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Mr. Stewart, as mayor, how do you plan to increase overall tourism to Utica and entice Starved Rock State Park visitors to patronize the businesses and utilize the services that result in increased tax revenue for the village of North Utica?
As we know, we are known as the gateway to Starved Rock. Every year, tons of tourists come. Like Trustee Schrader just said, last year was a record year at Starved Rock, as reported. My goal is definitely to work with the business association here in town. Get with them. They put on very, very good events as of right now. Keep a very good figure with them. Very good ideas they have. Work with Starved Rock and Grand Bear. We have a quaint village, is what it's called. Plans for Mill Street to design, make it better, make it more homegrown for people to come, have a safe atmosphere. Tourism is a very key for Utica. It always has been. And I think that talking, supporting others, the people itself of Utica, the businesses, other outlying areas that want to help is the key for tourism.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. Question 5. Utica's current mayor and board have a number of initiatives underway. The new South End waterline improvement on Johnson Street, the Utica Bridge reconstruction, the sewage treatment plant odor abatement program, the D. Bennett Road reconstruction proposal, and the I&M Canal dredging project initiative. Working collaboratively with state, local, and federal agencies is an important factor in successfully achieving village goals. The question to the candidates is, what is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of these initiatives to a successful conclusion? Mr. Brown.
First of all, it's going to take time, and it's going to take cooperation. My experience has been, as a member of the town board in the past, I have helped conduct surveys to get grants from the North Central Council of Illinois Governments. I have worked with legislatures, and I've actually gone to Springfield with the sitting mayor to help obtain grants. My experience as a past board member, both the school board and the village board, I think was an asset, and in knowing and cooperating and working with the agencies is going to help in the long run. I think we all have to keep in mind that these are not solutions that are going to happen overnight, that they're going to take persistence, and they're going to have to take cooperation. And I think that's where my experience, with my past working with state agencies, with legislatures, and with the grant writing facility people will come in and be a positive asset for the town.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. Mr. Ciccone, the same question. What is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of these initiatives to a successful conclusion? If you'd like, I can reread the previous paragraph.
No, that's fine. My experiences are that I have worked with many different agencies to resolve various problems, boundary problems, flooding, road issues. I was a legislative aide to a state representative at one time, and I also have served in various capacities in various forms of government, all of which really have been positions that require intergovernmental cooperation. So I feel I have a lot of experience in working with other governmental bodies.
Thank you, Mr. Ciccone. Mr. Jareb, what is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of the above-mentioned initiatives to a successful conclusion?
Okay, first off, I fully believe that we can bring all these initiatives to completion. You know, the Johnson Street Water Main Project is going to get started here within the next month. The Utica Bridge Project is funded and contract drawings are being developed as we speak. The D. Bennett Road construction has federal significance with the lock and dam, and I know the Army Corps of Engineers is very adamant that they want that project completed. So, yeah, I think all these projects can be done and these initiatives can be met. Working with these type of agencies is what I do on a daily basis. A lot of our clients are villages just like Utica, and we have to work with the Army Corps and the Illinois Department of Transportation and the Illinois EPA. I've grown relationships with the representatives that work for these agencies in this area, and I think it would be beneficial to the mayor having those relationships already in place on day one. I'll take it an even step further. I think you need to know and be able to interact with your federal and state representatives and senators. I worked 13 years at the Illinois Department of Transportation, and in the last 5 there, I dealt significantly with federal and state reps in regards to funding of construction projects and other highway projects. So I think that is also key to making sure that we get our funding that's due to us to do our projects that we want. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jareb. Next, Mr. Maltus. What is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of the above-mentioned initiatives to a successful conclusion?
My years of working as superintendent of public works, I worked with most of the agencies, the Department of Transportation, the Highway Department. I worked with the engineers, with the state, with the local engineering firms to develop and help make our community better. And I think that I could do that job and put it out there and work hard to bring what we need to do. The Johnson Street project is already on the books to be done. Sadly to say, we didn't get a grant for that, so we're spending $390,000 out of our pocket. I feel that we need to look at some of these projects we're doing and maybe do some buying of our own water mains and stuff and quit paying 10% up above and beyond what the engineer's billing, and work at that and see that we get this stuff done and save some money for our community so we can use it elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. Mr. Schrader, what is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of the above-mentioned initiatives to a successful conclusion?
Thus far, my experience has been limited working with people past the local level. Developing a relationship with Frank Martino and Sue Resin is key right off the bat because a lot of these initiatives start with them. When you talk about the Johnson Street Water Project, we attempted to get a grant. It's a $310,000 project. It's going to get started shortly. It's just something that needs to be done. When you start looking at the D. Bennett Road project, it's still in its initial stages. It's another one that's getting pushed by the Corps of Engineers for the lock and dam. So eventually that one will get done too. The one that bothers me is the canal. I don't think anybody's really pushed hard enough to go after the canal and get it correct. Utica traditionally has been one of Springfield's favorite sons, more or less. We got our 178 redevelopment. They redid Route 80 pretty much 5 miles both directions of us. They redid our interchange. I think if the right person's pushing hard enough, the canal's doable too.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. Mr. Stewart, what is your experience working with government agencies, and do you feel confident that you can bring any or all of the above-mentioned initiatives to successful conclusion?
As far as working with government officials, my time has been limited to also. I have been in contact with Mr. Martino, Mr. Kinzinger, as well as Sue Resin, not on a first-hand basis, but I think that all the initiatives, if we work hard enough as a community and get together, it will take time. It's not a 1 year, maybe not a 2 year project, but things can get done. And also, I would like to add, as far as the canal and the dredging, I know that Mr. Esmond himself did start that project. He worked very diligently and tried hard. It was not as successful as he wanted it, but if I am elected mayor, it will get done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. We are at the point in the forum where we are at the end, basically. So in conclusion, I'm going to be asking each of the 6 candidates to briefly conclude this evening, telling us why they want to become mayor of North Utica and what is their overall vision for Utica. We'll start this time backwards. We'll start with Kevin Stewart. This is the final question. So in conclusion, Mr. Stewart,
Yes.
Please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica and what is your vision for North Utica's future. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. I want to thank everybody who attended tonight. I appreciate that. It was very well put together. Thank you, Julia, everybody. My goal as mayor is I want to be a leader of this town. It is time. We've had good leaders in the past. It's time to keep up that effort. The town seems like it's going in the upward direction. There are good things on the plate that need to be finalized. I can only hope to work with the village itself, work with outlying governmental bodies, get things situated, and make our town a very thriving town. That's what it was here for. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stewart. We have the last question for Mr. Schrader. In conclusion, please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica and what is your vision for North Utica's future.
My vision for the future of Utica is the same as it was 6 years ago, the first time I ran for mayor. I want to leave the town better for my children and the people that come after me. The first time I ran, the second time, this is the third time. This is the third time for me. The first 2 times, I lost to the late great Fred Esmond. The man was literally unbeatable. I tried every which way I could, didn't work. I think I'm in a lot better position now than I was 6 years ago, even 2 years ago, and I just want to make it a better place for all of us. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Schrader. And now for Mr. Maltus. In conclusion, please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica and what is your vision for North Utica's future. 2 minutes, please.
Okay. My vision with this new D. Bennett Road project and stuff coming in, I think we could build a levee and a dike that will run from behind the old elevator building down to the new D. Bennett Road, which will stop the flooding from coming in from the east. We could attach that to the towpath, which would make a nice bike trail to go down to D. Bennett. D. Bennett's going to have a bike trail that goes down along the river. It'll help with the tourism. and eliminate the flooding at the south end of our community. And then we also have projects that's been on the books since 2004 when the tornado went through. We've paid out engineering fees to see what size generators we needed to run our well and our sewer plant. At this current time, we have a backup generator to pump water to the north water tower, but we don't have a backup generator to pump water out of the ground. Those projects have never been completed. So if we don't continue and finish our projects that we got on the books now, our community is nothing. If we lose power, we have nothing. I mean, the sewerage is going to back up in everybody's basement. We'll have no water. And our community will still be here. 2004, we still haven't got those projects done. So there's a lot of those projects that are on the books that needed to be finished that haven't ever been done. And to develop this downtown area and light up the new sidewalk going out to Burgess' subdivision. People are afraid to walk that sidewalk at night. They'll walk it all afternoon, but at night, as soon as the sun goes down, there's big dark spots in there. There's the evergreen trees that are there by the side. You talk to some of the older people, they say they'd love to take a walk at night, but it's too dark. We got lights along all of our streets downtown, but nothing along that nice new sidewalk we put in up there. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Maltus. Mr. Jareb, in conclusion, please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica, and what is your vision for North Utica's future? 2 minutes, please.
Okay, I guess my decision started probably 8 years ago when I got into local politics and threw my name into the ring to be trustee. Wanted to be part of the town with the rebuilding of the tornado and primarily do the Route 178 realignment. And what I found out in these last 8 years is how much stuff actually goes on in the village. We're a small community, but we're very active. The three areas that I'd like to focus on the most as mayor: first off, it all starts out with great leadership, and I think I'm the person to do that. Taxes. We have a lowest tax rate in LaSalle County because we maintain our budgets. All right. I've been finance liaison for the board since 2007, and since that time, we have not increased our tax rate over that period of time, which helps people, that live here. Not just, helping businesses, but the people that live here. We want to continue our economic growth. We got areas to the south and to the east and to the north there we can still have great economic growth if we have the right infrastructure. That's the last thing. We have to upgrade our existing infrastructure, our wastewater treatment plant, our water mains. It's a daily job to make sure that we have good infrastructure within the town. I believe a lot of good things are in Utica's future. We're just starting, and I think it was mentioned earlier that we're on the uptick. I agree. We have to, as mayor, I think I have the traits that are going to continue that upward movement. I have the ability to lead. I have the ability to deal with multiple issues based on my career experiences of managing numerous individuals and budgets. I believe that my last 8 years on the village board, my education, my career choices have given me the tools and my personality that it needs to lead the village of North Utica. And I ask for your support on April 7th. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jareb. Mr. Saccone, in conclusion, please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica, and what is your vision for North Utica's future? You have 2 minutes, please.
I feel that Utica needs leadership, it needs experience, and it needs professionalism. And I'm running for village president because I have those qualifications. And as village president, I will bring those qualifications to the office of village president. I will serve the residences and the businesses of the village with, the way an elected official should serve. I will also be available days and evenings to answer any questions that the residents and businesses may have and to try to resolve any concerns that they have. My vision for the future of Utica is that I'd like to maintain the quality of life that people who live here enjoy and can afford. And I'd like to see Utica become the best little village in Illinois. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saccone. Mr. Brown, in conclusion, please tell us why you want to become mayor of North Utica And what is your vision for North Utica's future? You have 2 minutes.
I think North Utica is probably the best, smallest town, maybe not in the state, but maybe in the country. And I think the thing that has always made us a great community is the interest that everybody has shown in what is best for the village of North Utica. As you can see, we have 6 candidates running for mayor. That's almost unheard of in a town our size. And everybody up here tonight has expressed interest in what's best for the town. We've had no hard feelings. Everybody has been getting along. And I think that is probably what makes Utica the best, is the community spirit, the interest that we have in the town. And I think it starts going back for me when I was first on the board with Joe Carey as mayor. And you have to think about Fred Esmond, our ex-mayor, who unfortunately had passed away. But what he had to go through with the tornado was unheard of. And Gloria Alvarado stepping into a position that was just unheard of in the middle of a term after a re-election and an untimely death. But it's the interest and it's the community spirit that's in this town that I would like to continue, and I just see nothing but bigger and better things. And as long as we keep up this community spirit and the we're all for Utica type of attitude, we're going to be nothing but bigger and better things for this village. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Brown. This concludes the question segment for the 6 candidates. What we're going to do now is I'm going to introduce, we do have some local candidates who are running for office here. They've signed in, and I'm just going to ask them to stand and be recognized. John Pappas, who's running for trustee, please stand. John, and no, you don't need to clap, there's a number of them. John Schweikert, he's running for trustee. Ron Pollock, who's also running for trustee. Okay, Sean.
Zabza.
Sean Zabza, who's running for trustee. And Joseph Bernardoni, who's
Running out the door.
he's running out the door. Okay, great. All right. So we want to thank you all for coming in. In particular, we'd like to thank.
Julia, you got Dave Stewart.
Oh, where are you?
Right over there.
Oh,
Stand up,
you
you're
have to stand out.
Okay.
All right. This is Dave Stewart, trustee. You didn't sign in, Dave.
Why don't you sign in?
All right. So we'd like to thank the Utica Business Association. They've done an outstanding job organizing this, promoting this. Connie Nordy, Jennifer Stone King, Rena Pappas, Jan Fitzsimmons, Sandy Grubar, and I know I'm missing some other people who are in this room. Where are they? Oh, Chris Miller, who's the president of the Utica Business Association. So we want to thank everyone for coming, for listening, and we encourage you to get up. All of the candidates, all of the mayoral candidates have name tags on them. We did that specifically so that any of you who have any other questions that you'd like to present to the candidates will have an opportunity while you're having coffee, juice, a cookie over there. I just want to thank you, and I'm going to turn this over to Chris Miller. Thanks once again.
Thank you.
Hello again. Once again, I would like to thank Julia Messina for being our moderator this evening. You did a fabulous job. Thank you. Also would like to thank all 6 of the candidates for showing up this evening and answering those questions. That was really great. The idea behind this entire thing was to get everybody familiarized with all 6 of them if you didn't know 4 of them or whatever. So we hope we've accomplished that. With that being said, just a reminder that this entire forum is going to be rebroadcast on the Utica Business Association Facebook page. So if you need to go back and listen to some of the answers again, you could do that. Utica Business Association. Other than that, thanks for coming. You guys have a wonderful evening. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
It was also just brought to my attention that the refreshments were provided by the
Fine job. Thank you.
Mill Street Market, downtown Utica. So thank you for that.